Hello, user testing community. It is Mike McDowell once again from the Solutions Consulting team here at User Testing, back with another tip of the week. Now, this is a tip that comes from a lot of questions that I get from people asking about making the transition from moderated testing, live conversations, over to unmoderated testing. And they ask me a lot, which do I recommend and what's the best method and what's the most effective way to get feedback? Now, what I actually like to recommend is a blended approach where we actually start with our unmoderated test, which, as we all know, we launch it. It gets recruited by user testing from the contributor network, and then people all fill out the test at the same time. We take that, and what we can do is we can then review the results and then use those results to drive live conversation. And I'll show you what I mean. So let me go ahead and minimize my head here down into the corner. And now you'll recognize this Hertz website deal finder usability study that I've shown before. I've got 5 respondents here that I have seen, and they're all in my metrics tab, and I've reviewed all the data and I've shown it. But let's say that out of these 5, there was one person that I actually wanted to go deeper on. Now, that's the reason why a lot of people want to do a moderated study or a live conversation instead of unmoderated. Because what happens if you have questions in the middle and you can't react to something that's just a recording, like you can react to someone who's sitting right in front of you? Well, in this case, we've got 5 videos, which make up about an hour of video itself. But let's say I just take Surfer Kitty and I want to ask her a follow-up question. Well, there's 2 methods I can use. One, first I can add her to my favorites, just so that I've got her in a list that I can go back to and refer to when I'm scheduling another study, or I can just make note of her name. Now, Surfer Kitty, it's actually fairly easy to remember. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to my dashboard, and I'm going to say, create a new live conversation. So schedule a live conversation. Let's build an audience or create a link. In this case, I'm going to build an audience because I know that I actually want to recruit Surfer Kitty. So I'm going to go here, and now it's got my main test screen. This is my scheduler over here, my audience selector here. I'm just going to say select an audience from scratch. And then what do? I'm going to say specific contributor. Now here, I'm just going to type in Surfer Kitty, which I could easily have cut and paste. And so here we go. So now I've got Surfer Kitty. Now I might type in some other requirements that I have. And that's all I need to do to actually go ahead and schedule a live conversation with Surfer Kitty. Now it tells me I've recruited specific contributors. There she is. And now I go ahead and provide my availability like I normally would. The great thing about this is we're actually going to maximize the value of our time and the efficiency in running our study, because instead of having to schedule 5 complete live conversations, which it could take days, if not a week, depending on when people accept the study and when they're available, we've cut that down to getting instant results in less than an hour from an unmoderated study, which then we decided, yeah, I just want to follow up and ask one person some more questions. And a reminder, if I switch back to the actual study, I can always click on the individual and say contact. Now I can contact Surfer Kitty and send just a message through the user testing platform if I want to. But in this case, we're actually trying to show the blending of the moderated and unmoderated studies. So hopefully I can see a lot more unmoderated studies followed up by really small 1 to 2 person live conversations. If you need to do those follow-ups, it's the best way to blend those 2 research methodologies together, maximize your time and your speed to insights. So that's going to be it for now, but don't worry, I'll be back again in 7 days with another user testing tip of the week.